Greetings, everyone. We did say or ask you to send your questions on documentation so that we can try our level best to respond. We welcome all of you who are joining us for this discussion. And we appreciate, I see some already have been assisting in responding to some of these questions. We do appreciate. We will deal with the first question posted by Comrade Kiguli Hassan. He says, good day, say, if my wife is on ZEP permit and she has a registered company as the director, can her sister or daughter apply for a general work permit using that company name? Thank you. Firstly, even if your wife has a company registered as a director, the ZEP, a holder of a ZEP must be working, unless if they work for the said company. But if they are not working for the company, they do not qualify. So a person who's a holder of a Zimbabwe exemption permit who is gainfully employed is the one that applies to move to another visa. So you cannot say a relative or owns a company, therefore they can apply under that company. So they have to be working for that company. I think you understand, Comrade Kaguli Hassan. Comrade Nokutula Kumalo says, my waiver is out in Mdungwa. Ngingaya ekaya na ekaya festive before applying for a permit. A holder of a ZEP has a right to travel. So you are free to travel across the border. You are not limited. So budget your money, as we advised in the other video. You travel for Christmas, you come back in January 2025. Is not a problem. Comrade Rejoice Happy Shumba says, where must I go to apply spousal permit? You apply online and submit at VFS. So I thought everyone know this. You just open your laptop or computer, you go to the website of VFS and do the online application. There are 2 videos that we have recorded. They are available in this YouTube channel, in my YouTube channel. I forgot that here on Facebook. on my YouTube channel, you can check them out, step-by-step visa application. They will assist you. And then Comrade Tiara G asks, what's the cost of general work permit? Just apply, Comrade Tiara G. They are going to send you the details of the costing. I think it's around 3,000 rands, but just apply. You will get the figure. Like we said before, that if you are not paying online, you need, and you are doing an ATM deposit or you go inside the bank, please make sure that you deposit the exact amount. Do not deposit more. If you deposit more, it is going to take time for it to reflect. So it's important. So the advice is that just do online payment. It becomes easier. Then Comrade Adelaide and Love writes, what are the requirements for a ZEP holder to apply for permit? I need honest agent to help me apply. Firstly, just Googling. The requirements are stated in the website of VFS. Requirements for a general work visa, they are there. But you'll also note that some of those requirements have been waived by the Department of Home Affairs. For instance, if you Googling, check the requirements, you will see in the requirement for a police clearance from your country of origin, in this case Zimbabwe. It is no longer necessary for people that are holders of ZEP. You will see the certificate, evaluation certificate from the South African Qualifications Authority. It is no longer necessary, and the other requirements that they have removed. Then your second question is that you need an agent to apply. I do not know of agents that assist people to apply, but what I've seen is that in the over 30 ZEP as ZIM community chat groups, in the ZIM community chat groups and in our Telegram chat group, there are people that assist each other to apply. So if you WhatsApp me on 083-340-1000, I'll send you a link to join one of our chat groups, and then there are people that are assisting each other. They might ask you to pay, not to pay, but to contribute a small thing. It's between you and the person. It has got nothing to do with myself or the Comrade Ngabuto Mapena talk show or the Zoom community. It's just between you and the person that is assisting them. Comrade Charity Kumalo writes, I says I have a ZEP, need to apply for a study permit for my child who's already starting here. How do I go about it? Do I need to go to ZIM with her, stamp her passport in and apply for the study permit within the days given at border, or the application has to be done in ZIM? Firstly, if your child is born in South Africa, he has never traveled to Zimbabwe, you apply for the study visa in South Africa. But if your child is born in South Africa, he has traveled to Zimbabwe, was granted days at the border, those days are considered as a visitor's visa. And in terms of the law, you cannot change the condition of the visa while in South Africa. So what you might then want to do is to firstly apply for a good cause letter at the Department of Home Affairs to state the reasons why you cannot go or your child cannot go back in Zimbabwe to apply. Let's assume your child is 9 years and you are working. So you can write as a motivation letter that your child is a minor, is 9 years old. They cannot travel alone to Zimbabwe to submit the application, because in any case, the parent is the one that is submitting for them. So you need to state that in your application for a good cause letter. Once your good cause letter is issued, you then apply for the study visa for your your child. And secondly, it doesn't matter if your child is born here or it is you, the adult. If you applied for a passport in South Africa and it was issued here, you are on ZEP. There is no need for you to want to rush to the border to get your passport stamped, right? Because you have an old passport that has a permit that has expired. You now have a new passport. You don't rush to stamp it to the border. You only stamp it when it is necessary, when you are traveling, because you will need to carry the two passports. And the third issue in your question, Comrade Charit Kumalo, is that if then your child is born in Zimbabwe, right, you apply in Zimbabwe for their study visa. There is a VFS in Bulawayo. Just Google it. It is there in Bulawayo. You also can apply in Harare. I will, because I know most of you don't trust Mr. Google. I will Google and post the address of VFS offices in Bulawayo on my Facebook page. Right? As Comrade SN Dube, right? Good day, sir. Can I change my surname here or I have to go back home? The question is incomplete, but through experience, if you want to do a name change or changing your surname, you have to go to Zimbabwe. You get assisted by lawyers. I've gone through that process myself. Those of you who knew me before, they knew me as Ngabuto Nicholas Dube. Then I changed it to Mapena. So you have to go through the lawyer. They will have to advertise in the local newspaper so that if, say, you owe someone, you don't run away with people's debts or people's monies. So, yeah, you need to go do that process in Zimbabwe. Here at the consulate, you cannot do it. And in any case, you cannot apply for a Zimbabwean ID at the consulate. It is only birth certificate for children that are born in South Africa. Comrade Leo Dindlovu says, when is the date of applying for visas work permit? Comrade Leo Dindlovu, I do not know what you are asking, because it has always been open. When the decision was, or the announcement was made for people to apply to move to other visas on the 25th of November 2025, it was the first day for people to apply. We appreciate Comrade Charit Kumalo. I see you in this platform. So it is open, Comrade Lord Ndlovu. So I always get people asking me, Comrade Mabena, when do we start to apply? We're getting to the conclusion of this process. So you need to apply like yesterday. But like I said, that in terms of secular, not secular, but Directive 4 of 2023, the ZEP expires on the 31st of December 2024, meaning everyone who's a holder of ZEP should either have applied for a waiver or applied for any of the mainstream visas. In our submission to the minister, when we met with the officials yesterday in Arcadia, we did request them to consider extension. And in our written submission, we did motivate why we think it is necessary for the ZEP to be extended for another 12 months from the 31st of December 2024 to the 31st of December 2025. We don't know what the minister and the department are going to say, but that's the submission that we did. But other than that, Comrade Leo Ndlovu, the application process is ongoing. Comrade Adrian Tulani Nyon says, Comrade, thanks for the recent updates. Now we can talk about Bosophan's boycott. Okay, we'll talk about Islanders later on. Comrade Shane Kumal, can I apply visa without a waiver or ZEP? You can apply if you qualify, but not under the current scheme, if I were to use the word scheme, which has been afforded to the ZEP holders. Anyone can apply for a waiver, anyone can apply for any of the visas, but at times with any simple given answer say no, you do not qualify to apply for a waiver, because the reasons being, a person who does not qualify, and for you to know that you qualify, you go to the website, you check the requirements. If you meet some of those requirements, but there are some that want them to be waived, it is then that you can apply. But I always use this example. If say you work at ShopRite, and you are a packer or you are a till operator, you are not on ZEP, you cannot apply for any visa because you do not qualify, right? Comrade Osilin Tranquini Chimpaga says, do I need to start applying for a waiver first, or I can just apply for a general work visa? I have a ZEP. We have explained this, that every holder of Zimbabwe exemption permit who wants to apply for a general work visa must firstly apply for a waiver. We have explained the confusion that arose when Circular 7 of 2024 was issued. In our submission, we discussed again with the officials in the office of the minister yesterday that circular, what its objective was. While on one hand we understood, because the people that had applied for waivers previously, granted waivers, when they were then applying for a general work visa, they were being rejected on the basis that they do not have the certificate from the Labor Department or did not evaluate their academic qualifications through South African Qualifications Authority. So they were being rejected on those bases. While we then understood that The circular was taking care of that. But we then posed the question to say, how then does a ZEP holder write a motivation letter if all those requirements are removed? So we await for an answer. Comrade Bongwengwenya says, kuzahambeka yini ekhaya ngoDisemba ma uLeslie sewaiver ngoba ngisale amboni ukuhlonye ukutheni. But what I will say to you Bongwengwenya, like I have said already, when I hambe ekhaya uyehlaba imbuzi ungatshela abadala uthi wena you can't travel because you are waiting for a waiver leslip kuphela. No, just to go home December uyebona abadala. You are not restricted from traveling. Comrade Clement Osterzen says, Mabena apply waivers last year, August, even now nothing. Can I wait for it or decline? Angisazi kunini lokhu receive ama message Hollywood lawe gambling. Manje Comrade Clement navela angenzi gambling. No, the minister said it is dealing with the backlog. Remember, there was a statement that the minister issued. He said it is dealing with the backlog, and they promised that by Christmas they will have dealt with the backlog. So we hope that by December your waiver is going to be out, and they are also sending out in PDF form to your email. So make sure that you check your email. Comrade Kefas Alves says, can you explain the waiver process to those who had never had permits before? Thanks. I've just explained that you only apply for a waiver if you qualify to. And I can give an example. The simple example is that you are a diesel mechanic. The diesel mechanic is no longer in the revised critical skills list. But your company has been advertising, and they seem not to get any South African that can work as a diesel mechanic. It is then that they will have to assist you to apply for a waiver. What then happens is you will need to submit to the Department of Labor. The company should submit to the Department of Labor all adverts, right, that were carried out, because the company, if they are to employ a diesel mechanic, they will have to place adverts in national newspapers on internet. They will then have to show the number of people that responded to the advert and those that attended or responded to the interview. If they couldn't get anyone other than yourself, all this information must be submitted to the Department of Labor. Once the Department of Labor then satisfies itself that indeed there is a shortage of diesel mechanics in South Africa, it is then that you can apply for a waiver if you are not a holder of a Zimbabwe exemption permit. But like I said, not everyone can just apply for a waiver or a permit if you do not qualify. Comrade Primrose Love says, mawusalinde iwaiver eyabuya ipambanisekile wenza njani nge-general work visa. You wait for your waiver to come out. In any case, like we explained in the other video, is that at VFS they are now saying it's easier for you to do an affidavit, right? Like the other day I was giving an example to saying, if the waiver comes out says Miss Ngabuto Mabena, whereas I'm Mr. Ngabuto Mabena, you simply do an affidavit, because taking it back it takes time. So you cannot proceed with the application while you are still waiting for them to correct your waiver. So you need to wait. But remember again, in terms of the Directive 4 of 2023, if you have your receipt with you, it means you are legal in the country until next year, November, because the then Minister of Home Affairs had said that a receipt of any of the visa acts as an extension. So you don't have to be under pressure and then rush to go and apply. Zandile Ndlovu Mazandi, we did say, Comrade Zandile Ndlovu Mazandi, that when the circular 7 of 2024 was issued, right? VFS advised that people can now apply without waivers. People applied, right? Later on, VFS and the Home Affairs had a meeting. They then resolved that every ZEP holder applying for a general work visa must apply for a waiver first. In our meeting yesterday, we asked them to say what then happens or what will happen to those who applied without a waiver. They promised that they were then going to get back to us. The officials that we met yesterday said that they would be in Cape Town today, and I hope they did have their meeting. They were going to be in Cape Town today to consult with the minister in terms of this written submission that we made to them. And then once they've done the internal consultations in the Department of Home Affairs, then they are going to get back to us. Comrade Ntando Nosipo Vundla says, mina ngicela ukubuza ukuthi yini ongayi-apply for the first time or ma ule ZIM South ID ngingakwazi uku-apply and or umama as a ID ngawuzi apply under yena. In most of the cases, if your parent is having a permanent residence, that Mandela ID, and you are now an adult, it becomes difficult for them to accept. But you can try your luck, but then they will say that you are an adult. But you can try your luck. I've seen other people failing to include their grown-up children. Comrade Vanessa Mavisa writes, good afternoon, comrade. Which one is the best way for a ZEP holder to apply for a waiver or ZEP payment which is expiring next year? We said that our own advice is that apply for a waiver and move to the mainstream visa, because if you apply for a Zimbabwe exemption which expires next year and is not renewable, you are going to have challenges. But I also understand. You recall that Dr. Vusa Spanda circulated a voice note saying I'm confusing people. People should not be applying for other mainstream visas. They have to apply for a Zimbabwe exemption because there is a court case. But the problem with that, which we were also discussing yesterday in the office of the minister, is that the exemption permit expires in November next year and you can't renew it. So our advice is that holders of ZEP should apply for a waiver. After applying for a waiver, they move to other visas. Comrade Calvin Benga says, what about an instrumentation technician? Kindly check, there are lots of professions under critical skills. So I can't keep that in my head. So you just need to Google, check if your own profession is listed under the critical skills. Comrade Pinky Magas says, after applying for a waiver and holding a receipt from ZIM to SA, do they still give days or they just enter? It depends on the official on the day. But if you have a ZEP, they should not give you days, but we see that they are giving people days. And some, they do not carry the two passports. You find that the passport is in the old, the ZEP stickers in the old passport and the person has a new passport. So it's important that you carry all your passports. Comrade Rachel Moyo says, abantwana abazalwe lapha sibafaka bengasizakala njani mdala angizwisisanga. Nanso mdala, comrade. Mdala wangumdala wethu inkomo sonke. Comrade. So ngambiza mdala umbize comrade. If you apply, open the application form. The application form will ask you if you have a partner or you have children, and it will ask you to include their details. So in the application form, make sure that you complete or you enter the details of your kids and also of your partner, because it will ask you, are you married and so forth, do you have children, and it will ask you for their details. So just include them there. Comrade Nomandla Nyatimdluli says, Unjani my lady, I'm waiting for an outcome of waiver since 2022, still nothing. My question is, can I go home in December and come back? This question has been answered. Yes, you wait. You can also go ekhaya ngo December. Comrade Ndabezile Ndebele says, last renewed my Islam in 2016. Iyavuseleleka now. We raised the issue of Aslam, but the officials that we were speaking to, they said they are yet to visit the refugee center. Remember that we have a government of national unity in South Africa. So some officials that the ministers brought are new in the department. So they still need to do assessment, and one of the things that kept them busy was the issue of the first 100 days. So they said they are yet to visit and engage and get back to us. But the question would be, from 2016 to 2024, I'm not a mathematician. Why did you not renew your Aslam in 2016? I would understand that during COVID, because people are now renewing online. I'm not very sure, but I hear others are paying a fine. But if it is discovered that you did travel after your Aslam had expired, you will not be able to renew. But if you did not travel and you faced some challenges to renew, they might ask you to pay a fine. Comrade Brilliant Brim Timande says, Linjan Comrade Mabena, if ngiqala apply, is it wise to do waiver to be valid in South Africa? I've answered this question that only those that qualify do. And I've said that we generally say only ZEP holders do qualify for these waivers. Comrade Fungai Muzanango says, I changed the email which I used to apply for my waiver, and my waiver is showing that it is out. Then I went to VFS to get help, or now I can get my waiver, but they tell me back saying they can't help me with anything. So there are people that have challenges, that have changed emails or they were assisted by people. We normally say you go to VFS to assist you. If they can't assist you at VFS, we'll check with the Department of Home Affairs, with the head office, on how such people are going to be assisted, meaning that sometime next week we're going to check and come back to you with a proper answer on what you need to do. Comrade Mduduzi Nkomo says, Mabhena ngabe kuyenzeka basiphe ushwele nje sonke until 31 December 2026 ngemva lapho basixoxe siyelungisa izwe. I'm not sure, Comrade Mduduzi Nkomo, if that is going to be possible, because now ushwele, I'm not sure again whether you are saying only holders of ZEP or you are saying everyone. I'm not very sure. But like I said, that we have requested an extension for the purposes of every ZEP holder to be able to submit their application, that they extend for another 12 months from the 31st of December 2024 to the 31st of December 2025. So I'm not sure if our request is going to be accepted. Comrade Bege Pilimpov says, if I'm a ZP holder, I want to apply for a general working visa. Is a police clearance wanted? No, you don't need to get a police clearance. Comrade Hulumende Moreta says, I need a trusted agent to help me. I have a ZEP. I said you can WhatsApp me on 0833401000. I see a number of comrades assisting each other in our social media platforms. That's the same question asked by Comrade James Nyon, who's in Johannesburg. Comrade Davis Busiso Nyuruga says, please address also that those that have never had a permit applied for a waiver. You can't apply for a waiver if you have never had a permit. I've explained, and also stated that only if your profession is no longer in the critical skills and the companies are struggling to find any qualified person. I used the diesel mechanic as an example. I hope Comrade Davis, you understood. Comrade Celesile Dube, that's the last question that was posted on Facebook, said, I posted my question on the platform you directed me to post a month back. Till today I don't have a response. I receive on daily basis about 1,500 WhatsApp messages. So you can imagine I can't cope. So I think the last day I was checking my phone. Today I was responding to messages that were sent to me on the 26th of September 2024. This is why we encourage people to join our chat groups. Ask questions in the chat group, not to inbox me. When you see me joking with my comrades on Facebook, I'll be trying to get a break. But if everyone floods my WhatsApp inbox and expect an instant response, it will take you 2 weeks. So utilize our chat groups, then you get an answer. Then the question says, ngicela ukubuza ngizwa abantu bethi ma ufuna uapply labantwana ama study permit kumele uye ekhaya. No, I've addressed this question, Comrade Celesile Dube, that if your kids are born in South Africa, you have to apply here. If they are born in Zimbabwe, you have to apply in Zimbabwe. And I said, if they've traveled and they are minor, you have to apply the Department of Home Affairs for a letter of good cause. In the letter of good cause, you state the reasons why you do not, you think you will not be able to go to submit in Zimbabwe. Siyabonga kakhulu. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. We hope we did try our level best to answer your questions. If your questions are not answered, other comrades are going to assist you in our Telegram chat group, in our WhatsApp chat groups. Otherwise, good night. Bye-bye.